My husband left our daughter with a broken arm to be with my sister. Then I found them having segs on our family couch. I immediately filed for divorce and got full custody of our children. Now he regrets everything. I, 40F, never thought I'd be here writing this. My husband, 42M, and I were married for 18 years, since I was 22 and he was 24. We have 2 beautiful children, a son who is 14 and a daughter who is 12. I always thought we had a perfect marriage, but I guess nothing is ever what it seems. My older sister, 43F, has always had issues with me. Growing up, I could never understand why she seemed to hate me so much. Our parents always favored her, but that wasn't enough, she had to take everything I cared about too. When I was 15, I discovered I had a real talent for basketball. Our school coach said I was one of the most naturally gifted players he'd seen in years. For the first time, I found something that was just mine, something I excelled at that made me feel good about myself. 3 weeks after I joined the team, my sister suddenly developed an interest in basketball too. She wasn't bad, but she wasn't at my level. Then during practice one day, she injured her knee badly. She told our parents I had pushed her during a drill because I was jealous of her skills. I never did that. Never. But my parents believed her without question. They banned me from playing basketball ever again, saying I was too competitive and dangerous. I lost the one thing that had given me confidence. That was just one example of many. She stole my first boyfriend in high school by telling him lies about me. She spread rumors about me at school that made it hard for me to make friends. Through it all, I kept to myself and tried to build my own life away from her shadow. When I met Jack, I thought I'd finally escaped her influence. He was kind, attentive, and he made me feel special. We got married young, but we were happy. We built a good life together with our children. Jack worked hard at his father's construction company, and I worked part-time as an administrative assistant at a local clinic. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Over the last year, I started noticing something that made my stomach turn. Whenever my sister called Jack for help, whether it was to move furniture, fix something at her house, or just to talk, he would drop everything and go to her. At first, I thought he was just being kind, but there was an eagerness to his response that bothered me. He'd never moved that fast for anyone else, not even his own mother. 6 months ago, my sister Diane and her husband Mark got divorced. Mark had always been a nice guy, polite and friendly. The divorce seemed to come out of nowhere. Diane told everyone that Mark had been emotionally abusive, but something about her story didn't add up. Nevertheless, the first person she called after the divorce was finalized was Jack. Not me, her sister. My husband. And like always, Jack immediately went to comfort her without a second thought. Last month, the breaking point came. My daughter Emily broke her arm falling off her bike. Jack and I took her to the hospital together while our son stayed at his friend's house. After we got home, Emily wanted her favorite comfort food, a milkshake and fries from the local diner. Since she's always been a daddy's girl, she asked if Jack would stay with her while I went to get the food. I agreed and drove to the diner. When I returned 20 minutes later, I found Emily crying on the couch. Jack was putting on his jacket by the door. I asked what was happening, and he said Diane had called. She wasn't feeling well and needed him to come over. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Our daughter had just broken her arm, was in pain, and he was leaving? I asked him to stay, pointing out that Emily needed him right now. He looked at me like I was being unreasonable and said, "Your sister needs me." Then he walked out the door. I stood there, the food growing cold in my hands, watching my daughter cry harder. I realized in that moment that something was very wrong with my marriage. I put the food down, went upstairs, and packed bags for myself and my children. I called my friend Rachel, who had always been supportive, and asked if we could stay with her for a few days. She agreed without hesitation. I woke Emily, told her we were going to Rachel's house, and called my son to tell him to meet us there. He heard something in my voice and didn't argue. 2 days later, I realized I had left my work laptop at home. I needed it for an important project due the next day, so I had no choice but to go back to the house. I figured Jack would be at work, so I used my key and entered quietly. The sound from the living room made me freeze in the hallway. I turned the corner and saw something that will forever be burned into my memory. Jack and Diane were on our family couch, the one where we'd watched movies with our children, having sex. They were so caught up in each other they didn't notice me at first. When they finally saw me standing there, they scrambled to cover themselves. Jack's face went white. He rushed toward me, still pulling on his pants, saying it wasn't what it looked like, that I was misunderstanding the situation. I stood there for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Then I found my voice and asked him how long this had been going on. Had our entire marriage been a lie? Was I just convenient until he could have my sister? He started making excuses, saying it had only happened a few times, that he still loved me. I didn't wait to hear more. I told him I wanted a divorce and walked out. I drove back to Rachel's house in a daze. When I got there, I collapsed on her couch. The tears wouldn't stop coming. I told her everything I had seen. Rachel was furious. Even though I asked her not to, she called my parents and told them what had happened. In a way, I was relieved she did because I couldn't bring myself to say those words out loud to them. My phone started buzzing nonstop with calls and texts from Jack and Diane. I turned it off. I couldn't deal with them. I had to figure out how to tell my children that their father and their aunt had destroyed our family. That night, I lay awake wondering how everything had fallen apart so quickly. How do you tell two kids that their father betrayed their mother with their aunt? How would they ever trust family again? How would I? Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my world collapsed. First, I want to thank everyone for the support. I never expected so many people to reach out and share similar stories. It helps to know I'm not alone, even though I wouldn't wish this situation on anyone. After staying with Rachel for 5 days, I finally had to face telling my children the truth. I sat them down in Rachel's living room and explained that their father had been unfaithful to me with their Aunt Diane. My son immediately stood up, kicked a chair, and stormed out of the room. My daughter stared at me, shook her head, and told me I was lying. I expected that reaction. She and Jack have always been close. She ran to her temporary bedroom and slammed the door. I gave them both space. My son came back an hour later, sat beside me on the couch, and put his head on my shoulder. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. My daughter stayed in her room until dinner. She barely ate and wouldn't look at me. That same day, I called a lawyer and started the divorce process. I also withdrew half the money from our joint bank account and put it in a new account in only my name. The house is in both our names, but I paid the down payment with an inheritance from my grandmother, so my lawyer says I have a good case for keeping it. 2 days later, Rachel called me at work and told me to come to her house right away. When I arrived, I found my parents, Jack's parents, and Jack all sitting in her living room. Rachel had arranged this meeting without telling me. She said it was time everyone heard the truth directly. I walked in and stood by the door, ready to leave if necessary. Jack looked terrible, unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes. My parents looked confused and angry. Jack's parents sat stiffly on the edge of the couch. Rachel told everyone exactly what I had seen that day at the house. She also revealed something I hadn't known. Diane had been in legal trouble multiple times over the years. Rachel had bailed her out twice. My parents had covered up her issues, even from me. Then Rachel dropped another bombshell. She had spoken to Mark, Diane's ex-husband. He told her he left Diane because she had been emotionally and physically abusive throughout their marriage. The last straw came when she hit him during an argument and threatened to tell everyone he was the abuser if he ever revealed the truth. Diane had been lying about the reason for their divorce. My mother suddenly stood up and slapped me across the face. She screamed that I must have seduced Jack, that I was always jealous of Diane. Jack's father pulled my mother away from me while his mother looked horrified. Jack sat with his head in his hands, saying nothing. Rachel ordered my parents to leave her house. They did, but not before my father pointed at me and said this was all my fault for not being a better wife. Jack's parents stayed. His mother came to me, hugged me, and whispered she was sorry. His father told Jack he was fired from the family business. Then my daughter came downstairs. She must have heard everything because she walked straight up to Jack and told him she hated him. She said he wasn't her father anymore. Then she turned to me and apologized for not believing me. My son appeared behind her. He looked at Jack and said only, "You chose her over us." Then both kids went back upstairs. Jack broke down then, sobbing and begging me to forgive him. He swore he would end things with Diane, that it was just a mistake, that he still loved me and the kids more than anything. I told him he had 2 days to get his things out of our house or I would call the police. He said he had nowhere to go. His parents told him he wasn't welcome in their home after what he had done. I told him that wasn't my problem anymore. 3 days later, the kids and I moved back into our house. Jack had cleared out his clothes and personal items but little else. I found his wedding ring on the kitchen counter. Mark, Diane's ex-husband, reached out to me after hearing about everything from Rachel. He suggested we meet for coffee. I agreed, needing to understand more about what had happened. Mark was as nice as I remembered, but there was awareness to him now. He told me Diane had been abusive throughout their marriage, starting with small criticisms that escalated to full-blown control of his life. When he finally stood up to her, she became physically violent. He showed me a scar on his arm where she had thrown a glass at him. He had photos of bruises and copies of threatening texts she had sent. He asked if I wanted to file a police report with him. The idea of Diane facing consequences for her actions after years of getting away with hurting people appealed to me. We went to the police station together the next day. The officer who took our report seemed skeptical at first, especially when Mark shared his evidence. Male victims of domestic abuse aren't always taken seriously. But after seeing the texts and photos, the officer agreed to open a case. He advised us to get restraining orders and recommended lawyers who specialized in domestic abuse cases. My children were struggling. My daughter had episodes where she would stare into space and not respond when I called her name. My son barely spoke. Both refused to go to school. I arranged for them to start seeing a counselor, but the earliest appointment was 2 weeks away. Jack kept calling and texting. He sent flowers, cards, and gifts for the kids. I didn't throw them away, but I didn't acknowledge them either. Despite everything, part of me still cared about him. 18 years of marriage doesn't disappear overnight, no matter what the other person did. One night, there was a knock at the door. I found Mark standing there with pizza and a board game. He said he thought the kids might need a distraction. They had always liked him as Uncle Mark when he was married to Diane. My son actually smiled when he saw him, the first time in 2 weeks. My daughter gave him a hug. We ate pizza and played Monopoly until late. For a few hours, the kids seemed almost normal. When they went to bed, Mark helped me clean up. He told me he was still in therapy dealing with the aftermath of his marriage to Diane. He suggested the kids might benefit from it too. I agreed. Before he left, he hugged me. I held on longer than I should have, needing the comfort of human contact. He promised to check in on us and left. The next day, I heard Diane had been fired from her job after her boss heard about the police report. She was telling everyone I had made up lies about her to get sympathy. Some of our extended family believed her. Others reached out to me privately to say they'd always known something was off about her. I'm taking one day at a time. The kids are my priority now. The divorce paperwork is filed. I've blocked Jack on my phone, though he keeps finding new numbers to call from. I don't know what the future holds, but I know we won't go back to how things were before. Some things can't be fixed. Update 2. It's been 2 months since my last update. Life has fallen into a new routine. The kids and I have been seeing a family therapist once a week, and they each have individual sessions too. It's helping, slowly. Work has been busy, which is actually a blessing. It gives me something to focus on besides the divorce proceedings and the kids' struggles. I've also started taking walks in the evening, just to clear my head. Last week, I joined a community center fitness class. It feels good to take care of myself after months of barely functioning. At the gym, I met a woman named Tara who's going through a divorce too. We've started meeting for coffee before our workout sessions. Having someone who understands the process without being directly involved in my situation has been helpful. My daughter is still having a hard time. Some days she's angry at Jack, telling me she never wants to see him again. Other days, she misses him terribly and goes to stay at his new apartment. I never stop her from seeing him. She needs to work through her feelings in her own way. The therapist explained that my daughter sometimes dissociates when her emotions become too overwhelming. She'll stare into space and seem to check out of reality for a while. We're working on grounding techniques to help her when this happens. My son refuses to see or speak to Jack. He deleted his father's number from his phone and blocks any new numbers Jack tries to contact him from. I've tried to talk to him about giving his father a chance to apologize, but he shuts down immediately. The therapist says not to push him. He'll reach out when he's ready, if ever. Last week, I found my son crying in his room late at night. I sat on his bed and put my arm around him. He told me he missed how things used to be but hated his father for destroying our family. I stayed with him until he fell asleep, something I haven't done since he was little. Mark has been an unexpected source of support. He comes over at least once a week, usually bringing dinner or a movie for the kids. They've grown closer to him, especially my son, who seems to see him as a surrogate father figure. My daughter is more reserved but warming up. Last Saturday, Mark introduced us to his new boyfriend, Chris. I was surprised. Mark had never mentioned being bisexual during his marriage to Diane. He told me he had always known but had suppressed that part of himself because Diane had made homophobic comments whenever the topic came up. Chris is friendly and good with the kids. They seemed comfortable with him right away. Jack has a new job at a rival construction company. According to my daughter, he's doing well financially. She mentioned he bought the apartment he's renting, a fancy place downtown. Apparently, he had a separate savings account I never knew about. The lawyer says this could be important for the divorce settlement. Jack and Diane aren't seeing each other anymore. My daughter told me they had a huge fight after Jack's parents refused to acknowledge Diane at a family event. Jack finally realized what he had thrown away for someone who only cared about herself. Diane's life has fallen apart. Rachel told me she was evicted from her apartment and is living in her car, working at a convenience store. Despite everything she's done, I can't bear the thought of her being homeless. I told Rachel to let Diane know she can stay in our guest room if she has nowhere else to go. I may hate what she did, but she's still the aunt of my children, and our town isn't safe for someone living in their car, especially at night. Rachel thinks I'm crazy for offering. Maybe I am. But I won't let hate consume me the way it consumed Diane. The police case against Diane for the abuse against Mark is proceeding slowly. The prosecutor says it's difficult because much of the abuse happened years ago, but the recent text threats help their case. Mark is prepared to testify if it goes to trial. I've started talking to a financial advisor about securing my future. The divorce settlement should be enough for me to keep the house and maintain stability for the kids, but I need to think long-term now. I'm considering going back to school to get a certification that would help me advance at work. Sometimes I look at old photos and wonder how we got here. How the man who promised to love me forever could betray me so completely. How the sister I grew up with could hurt me so deeply. But then I look at my children, and I know I have to keep moving forward for them. Mark and Chris have invited us to go camping next month. My son is excited. My daughter is hesitant but willing to try. It will be our first family trip without Jack. I'm nervous about it, but also looking forward to creating new memories that aren't tainted by betrayal. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and almost a year since I caught Jack and Diane together. So much has changed that sometimes I barely recognize my life. The divorce was finalized last month. Jack didn't contest any of my requests. I kept the house, got primary custody of the children, and received fair child support. His secret savings account turned out to be substantial. He'd been putting money aside for years. The judge ordered him to split those funds with me since they were acquired during our marriage. My son still refuses to have a relationship with Jack. He's channeled his anger into sports, joining the school basketball team and excelling at it. His coach says he has real talent. I go to every game, cheering louder than anyone. My daughter sees Jack every other weekend. She stopped having dissociative episodes, though she still struggles with trusting people. Her therapist says she's making good progress. She and I have become closer than we've ever been. We have a weekly movie night just for the two of us. Surprisingly, Diane took me up on my offer for temporary housing 3 months ago. She showed up at my door late one night, looking thin and defeated. She stayed in our guest room for 4 weeks while she found a new job and saved for an apartment. We barely spoke during that time. The kids avoided her completely. On her last day, she left me a letter apologizing for everything: the basketball incident when we were teenagers, stealing my boyfriend, the years of undermining me, and finally, the affair with Jack. She wrote that she had always been jealous of me, even though our parents favored her. She said I had a natural confidence she could never achieve, and it made her hate me. I don't know if I can ever forgive her, but reading her words brought a sense of closure I hadn't expected. She moved to another state last month. Maybe the distance will help us all heal. Mark and Chris have become regular fixtures in our lives. We went on that camping trip, which turned out to be exactly what we all needed. Being in nature, away from reminders of the past, allowed us to relax and laugh together. My daughter and Chris bonded over bird watching, of all things. Now she texts him pictures of birds she spots around town. My friendship with Tara from the gym has deepened. We signed up for a half marathon together, motivating each other through early morning training sessions. I never thought I'd be a runner, but the physical challenge helps clear my mind. Last week, Tara introduced me to her brother Michael. He's divorced too, with a teenage son. We hit it off immediately, talking for hours over coffee. He asked me to dinner next weekend. I said yes, then panicked afterward. Am I ready to date again? The therapist says there's no timeline for moving on, but it feels strange to imagine being with someone who isn't Jack. I told the kids about the dinner with Michael, wanting to be transparent. My son shrugged and said, "Whatever makes you happy, Mom." My daughter had more questions. How old is he? What does he do? Will we meet him? I answered honestly, assuring her this was just dinner, not a new relationship. Jack found out somehow, probably through our daughter. He showed up unannounced, asking to talk. For the first time, he didn't try to make excuses or beg for reconciliation. He said he understood that he'd broken something that couldn't be fixed. He just wanted me to know he was sorry, truly sorry, and that hurting me and the kids was the biggest regret of his life. I listened without interrupting. When he finished, I told him I appreciated his apology. I also told him I was having dinner with someone next weekend. The look on his face made me realize he had never imagined me with anyone else, even though he was the one who shattered our marriage. As he was leaving, Jack asked if I thought our son would ever speak to him again. I didn't sugarcoat it. I said I didn't know, that some wounds run too deep to heal completely. But I promised to never discourage a reconciliation if our son decides he wants one. The case against Diane was settled out of court. She agreed to probation, anger management classes, and a restraining order preventing her from contacting Mark. He says he's satisfied with the outcome. He never wanted revenge, just acknowledgement of what happened and protection from future harassment. My parents tried to reconnect last month. My mother called, saying they'd had time to think and realized they'd been unfair to me. I met them for lunch, not expecting much. My father spent most of the time making excuses for Diane and suggesting I should consider forgiving Jack for the sake of the children. I walked out before dessert arrived and haven't spoken to them since. Some relationships aren't worth salvaging. Last night, as I was getting ready for bed, I found myself looking in the mirror and actually smiling. Not because everything is perfect, it's not. But because I survived something I thought would destroy me. Because my children are healing. Because I discovered strength I never knew I had. Tomorrow, I start classes for that certification I mentioned. Next month, the kids and I are taking a vacation to the beach, our first real family trip since everything happened. Michael might join us for a day if the kids are comfortable with it. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm actually looking forward to finding out. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. My mom chose my abusive stepdad over me for years. Now she's asking to move in with me after he left her. I let her stay, but things got complicated fast. I'm a 32-year-old woman named Sarah, living alone in the house I inherited from my grandparents. My life was going pretty well until last week when I got an unexpected call from my mother, Linda, 58F. I was relaxing after a long day at work when my phone rang. Seeing it was my mom, I hesitated before answering. We hadn't spoken in over 5 years. When I picked up, I heard her voice trembling. Linda said, "Sarah, I know we haven't talked in a long time, but I really need your help." I felt my heart racing as I asked, "What's going on, Mom?" She explained that my stepdad, Tom, 60M, had left her. She was staying with a friend temporarily but needed a place to live. Then she asked if she could come stay with me until she figured things out. I was shocked. A flood of memories came rushing back, memories of the tumultuous years after my dad died when I was just 15. Mom had married Tom less than a year later, and everything changed. Tom never liked me. He constantly criticized everything I did and made it clear he didn't want me around. Mom always took his side, telling me I needed to try harder to get along with him. When I tried to talk to her about how Tom treated me, she accused me of being jealous and trying to ruin her happiness. The situation got worse when I turned 18. Tom started pressuring Mom to kick me out, saying I was an adult and needed to fend for myself. Mom didn't outright ask me to leave, but she made it clear I wasn't welcome anymore. She stopped buying groceries for me, complained about my presence in the house, and even started locking the door to the laundry room so I couldn't do my laundry. I was in my first year of college, struggling to balance my studies with a part-time job. The stress at home made everything so much harder. I felt completely alone and unwanted in my own home. Luckily, my grandparents stepped in. When they found out what was happening, they offered to let me live with them. I moved in with them right after my first year of college ended. Living with my grandparents was a turning point in my life. They were loving, supportive, and encouraged me to pursue my dreams. With their help, I was able to focus on my studies and graduate with honors. After college, I got a job as a teacher at a local high school. I stayed with my grandparents, helping to take care of them as they got older. When they passed away a few years ago, they left me their house. During all this time, my relationship with my mom remained strained. We only spoke occasionally, usually on holidays or birthdays. She never apologized for how she treated me or tried to make amends. Tom remained a constant presence in her life, and she seemed content with her choice. Now, hearing her ask for my help, I felt a mix of anger and confusion. Part of me wanted to hang up and never speak to her again. But another part remembered the mom she used to be before Tom came into our lives. I told her I needed time to think about it and ended the call. Now I'm sitting here, trying to process everything. I can't help but think about how different my life might have been if she had chosen to support me instead of Tom all those years ago. I've worked hard to build a stable life for myself. I love my job, I have good friends, and I'm even dating a nice guy named Mike, 34M, who I met at work. The thought of disrupting all of that by letting my mom move in makes me anxious. But I also feel guilty. She's still my mom, after all. What if she ends up homeless? Could I live with myself knowing I turned her away when she needed help? I'm also curious about what happened with Tom. Why did he leave after all these years? Is there something more to the story that I don't know? I feel like I need more information before I can make a decision. But I'm also afraid of getting pulled back into family drama that I've worked so hard to distance myself from. Part of me wants to just say no. To tell her that she made her choice years ago when she chose Tom over me, and now she has to live with the consequences. But I worry that's just my hurt and anger talking. I've thought about calling my grandparents' old friends for advice, but I'm embarrassed. I've never told anyone the full story of what happened with my mom and Tom. It's always been too painful to discuss. I keep thinking about what my grandparents would want me to do in this situation. They always taught me to be kind and forgiving, but they also believed in standing up for yourself. There's a small part of me that sees this as an opportunity. Maybe if Mom lives with me, we can repair our relationship. Maybe she'll finally be the mother I needed all those years ago. But I know that's probably just wishful thinking. I'm worried about resentment building if I do let her move in. What if I agree and then regret it? What if all those old feelings of anger and abandonment come rushing back? There's also the practical side to consider. Where would she sleep? Would she contribute financially or expect me to cover everything? How long would she stay? The more I think about it, the more overwhelmed I feel. This decision feels impossibly huge. Whatever I choose, it's going to have a major impact on my life. For now, I think I need to take some time to process everything. I don't want to make a rash decision based on emotion. I need to think carefully about what I want and what I can realistically handle. I'm planning to call my mom back tomorrow and ask for more details about her situation. I want to know exactly what happened with Tom, what her current living situation is like, and what her expectations are if I were to let her stay here. I also think I need to have a serious conversation with Mike about all this. His opinion matters to me, and this would affect him too if he spends time at my place. As I sit here in my grandparents' old house, my house now, I feel a mix of emotions. Sadness for the family I lost, pride in what I've accomplished, anxiety about the future. But mostly, I feel determined to make the best decision I can, whatever that may be. I know I don't owe my mom anything. She wasn't there for me when I needed her most. But I also know that holding on to anger and resentment isn't good for me. Either way, I know this won't be an easy decision. But I've faced tough choices before and come out stronger. Whatever happens, I'll get through this too. I just need time to think, gather more information, and figure out what's best for me. Update 1. It's been a week since my last post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to update you all on the situation with my mom. After my initial post, I decided to gather more information before making a decision. I called my mom back the next day to get more details about her situation. What she told me was surprising, to say the least. Apparently, Tom hadn't left her, she had left him. She explained that over the past few years, she had started to realize how controlling and manipulative Tom was. She said she regretted how she had treated me and had been trying to find the courage to leave him for a while. The final straw came when she found out Tom had been secretly gambling away their savings. They had a huge fight, and she finally decided she'd had enough. She packed a bag and left, staying with her friend temporarily. I listened to her explanation, feeling a mix of emotions. Part of me was glad she had finally seen Tom's true colors, but another part was angry that it had taken her so long. Where was this realization when I needed her all those years ago? I asked her about her plans moving forward. She said she wanted to file for divorce but was scared because Tom had always handled all their finances. She didn't have much money of her own and was worried about how she would support herself. Then she brought up the idea of moving in with me again. She said she understood if I didn't want to, given our history, but she hoped we could use this as an opportunity to rebuild our relationship. I told her I needed more time to think about it and ended the call. I felt overwhelmed by everything she had told me. The next day, I talked to Mike about the situation. He was supportive but cautious. He reminded me that I needed to prioritize my own well-being and not feel obligated to help someone who had hurt me in the past, even if it was my mother. After a lot of thought, I made a decision. I called my mom back and told her she could stay with me, but with some strict conditions. 1. It would be temporary, no more than 3 months. 2. She would need to contribute to household expenses. 3. She would need to actively look for a job and her own place to live. 4. We would need to attend family counseling together to work on our relationship. I also made it clear that this was her chance to make things right, and if she violated my trust or my rules, she would need to leave immediately. My mom agreed to all the conditions, sounding grateful and relieved. We arranged for her to move in the following weekend. The day she moved in was strange and emotional. Seeing her in my grandparents' old house brought back a lot of memories, both good and bad. She didn't have much with her, just a couple of suitcases and some boxes. As we were unpacking, she came across an old photo album. Inside were pictures from when I was little, before my dad died and before Tom came into our lives. We sat on the floor looking through it together, and for a moment, it felt like we were bridging the gap of all those lost years. But reality quickly set in. Living with my mom has been challenging, to say the least. She's trying, I can see that, but years of bad habits and strained relationships don't disappear overnight. We've had a few arguments already. She sometimes slips into her old habits of criticizing me or trying to control things in the house. When this happens, I have to firmly remind her that this is my house and my rules. We've had 2 counseling sessions so far. They've been difficult but enlightening. Our counselor is helping us communicate better and understand each other's perspectives. It's a slow process, but I think we're making progress. On the positive side, my mom has been actively job hunting. She has an interview lined up next week for a receptionist position at a local doctor's office. She's also been contributing to groceries and helping around the house. Mike has been incredibly supportive through all of this. He's given me space when I need it but has also been a great listener when I need to vent. It's only been a week, and I'm already exhausted. I'm trying to balance my job, my relationship with Mike, and now this complicated situation with my mom. There are moments when I question whether I made the right decision in letting her stay. But then there are other moments, like when we cooked dinner together last night and actually had a nice conversation, that make me think maybe, just maybe, we can repair our relationship. I know we have a long way to go, and I'm trying to keep my expectations realistic. I'm taking it one day at a time and reminding myself that I can always change my mind if things don't work out. Thank you all for your support and advice on my last post. I'll update again if there are any significant developments. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments in the situation with my mom. Things have been complicated. There have been ups and downs, and I'm still not sure how I feel about everything. On the positive side, my mom did get the job as a receptionist at the doctor's office. She started 2 weeks ago and seems to be enjoying it. She's been contributing more to household expenses, which has been helpful. We've continued with our counseling sessions. They're still difficult, but I think we're making progress. Last week, my mom finally gave me a genuine apology for how she treated me when I was younger. It was emotional for both of us, and while it doesn't erase the past, it felt like a step in the right direction. However, there have also been some challenges. About 2 weeks ago, I came home from work to find Tom, my stepdad, sitting in my living room with my mom. I was shocked and angry. I had made it clear that he wasn't welcome in my house. My mom explained that Tom had reached out to her, saying he wanted to reconcile. She said she was confused about her feelings and wanted to hear him out. I reminded her that this was my house and that I wasn't comfortable with Tom being there. This led to a big argument. My mom accused me of trying to control her life, just like she had done to me in the past. I told her that wasn't fair. I was just trying to maintain boundaries in my own home. The argument ended with my mom leaving with Tom. She didn't come back that night, and I was worried that she had decided to go back to him. However, she returned the next day. She apologized for bringing Tom to the house without asking me first. She said she realized during their conversation that she didn't want to go back to her old life with him. She asked if she could still stay with me, promising it wouldn't happen again. I was conflicted but decided to give her another chance. We discussed it in our next counseling session, and our counselor helped us establish clearer boundaries. Another issue that's come up is my relationship with Mike. He's been incredibly patient and understanding, but I can tell the situation is starting to strain our relationship. We don't get as much alone time as we used to, and when we do, I'm often distracted or stressed about things with my mom. Last weekend, Mike suggested we take a short trip together, just the 2 of us. I was hesitant to leave my mom alone in the house, but I realized I needed some time away to clear my head. We went to a nearby beach town for 2 days. It was nice to relax and focus on our relationship without any distractions. When we got back, I felt refreshed and more capable of handling the situation at home. As for my mom, she seems to be making an effort to respect my boundaries and work on our relationship. She's opened up more about her marriage to Tom and her regrets about how she treated me. It's been hard to hear, but I think it's helping me understand her better. We're now halfway through the 3-month period we agreed on. I'm still not sure what will happen when that time is up. Part of me hopes that we can continue to improve our relationship, but another part is looking forward to having my space back. For now, I'm trying to take it one day at a time. I'm proud of the progress we've made, but I'm also trying to stay realistic about the future of our relationship. Thank you all for your continued support. I'll update again if there are any major changes. Update 3, it's been another month, and I wanted to give you all another update on the situation with my mom. Things have continued to be a roller coaster of emotions and events. Just when I think we're making progress, something happens to set us back. About 2 weeks ago, I came home from work early due to a migraine. As I walked into the house, I heard my mom on the phone in the kitchen. She was talking to Tom again. From what I could hear, it seemed like they had been in regular contact. My mom was telling him about her new job and discussing their shared finances. She mentioned something about meeting up to talk things through. I was hurt and angry. After everything that had happened, after all our counseling sessions and discussions about boundaries, she was still in contact with Tom behind my back. I confronted her about it once she got off the phone. She got defensive at first, saying I was eavesdropping and that she had a right to talk to whoever she wanted. But when I reminded her of our agreement and the conditions of her staying with me, she broke down. She admitted that she'd been talking to Tom regularly for the past few weeks. She said she was confused about her feelings and didn't know what she wanted. Part of her missed the familiarity of her life with Tom, even though she knew it wasn't healthy. We had a long, emotional conversation. I told her I felt betrayed and that I wasn't sure I could trust her anymore. She apologized and promised to cut off contact with Tom, but I'm not sure I believe her. The next day, I called our counselor and scheduled an emergency session. In the session, we talked about trust, boundaries, and the difficulty of breaking long-standing patterns in relationships. The counselor suggested that my mom might benefit from individual therapy in addition to our family sessions. She agreed to look into it. On a more positive note, my mom has been doing well at her job. Her boss even mentioned the possibility of a promotion in the near future. She's also been looking at apartments, though she hasn't made any concrete plans to move out yet. As for me, I'm feeling increasingly torn. On one hand, I can see that my mom is trying to change and improve our relationship. On the other hand, the incident with Tom has made me question whether I can ever fully trust her. My relationship with Mike has been strained by all of this. We had a serious talk last week about the future of our relationship. He's been incredibly patient, but he expressed concern about the toll this situation is taking on both of us. We're nearing the end of the 3-month period my mom and I initially agreed on. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. Part of me wants to extend the arrangement to give our relationship more time to heal. Another part of me is exhausted and ready to have my life back to normal. I know I have some big decisions to make in the coming weeks. I'm trying to balance my own needs with my desire to help my mom and repair our relationship. It's not an easy position to be in. For now, I'm focusing on setting clearer boundaries and taking care of my own mental health. I've started going to a yoga class twice a week to help manage my stress, and I'm making more of an effort to spend quality time with Mike. I'll update again once I've made a decision about what happens after the 3-month period is up. Thank you all for your support and advice throughout this journey. Update 4, it's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I've made some tough decisions that I wanted to share with you all. As the end of the 3-month period approached, I did a lot of thinking about my situation with my mom. I talked it over with Mike, reflected on our counseling sessions, and really tried to listen to my gut feelings. In the end, I decided not to extend my mom's stay. I told her she needed to find her own place by the end of the month, as we had originally agreed. It wasn't an easy conversation. My mom was upset and tried to argue that we were making progress and needed more time. But I stood firm. I explained that while I appreciated the steps she had taken, I needed my space back. I also told her that I thought it would be healthier for both of us to continue working on our relationship while living separately. To my surprise, after the initial shock wore off, my mom seemed to understand. She admitted that living together had been challenging for her too, and that maybe some distance would be good for us. Over the next week, she found a small apartment not too far from her job. It's not fancy, but it's affordable and in a decent area. I helped her move in last weekend. As we were unpacking her things in her new place, we had a heart-to-heart conversation. My mom thanked me for giving her a chance and a place to stay when she needed it. She acknowledged that she still has a lot of work to do on herself, but she's committed to continuing with therapy and improving our relationship. I told her that while I'm glad we've made some progress, I still have a lot of hurt and trust issues to work through. I said I'm willing to continue working on our relationship, but it needs to be at a pace I'm comfortable with. We agreed to keep up with our family counseling sessions, but on a bi-weekly basis instead of weekly. We also set up a schedule for regular phone calls and occasional dinners together. As for Tom, my mom swears she's cut off all contact with him. She showed me that she's blocked his number on her phone. Only time will tell if she sticks to this, but I'm cautiously optimistic. My relationship with Mike has improved since making this decision. He's been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal, and I'm grateful to have him in my life. We're planning a vacation together next month, something we both desperately need. Looking back on these past 3 months, I have mixed feelings. It was a difficult and emotionally draining experience, but I also feel like I've grown a lot. I've learned to set boundaries, stand up for myself, and communicate more effectively. My relationship with my mom isn't perfect, and I don't know if it ever will be. But it's better than it was before, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to make progress. To everyone who's followed my story and offered advice and support along the way, thank you. Your words of encouragement and perspective have been invaluable. I'm looking forward to having my space back and focusing on my own life again. But I'm also cautiously optimistic about the future of my relationship with my mom. It's a work in progress, but I think we're on the right track.